Kofi grew up in a house where advice was not shouted. It was given calmly, a gentle current in the river of life. His mother, Mom Serwa, was not formally educated beyond basic school, but in their small town of Ensuta, her wisdom was a landmark. People sought her counsel. She sold provisions by the roadside, raising her children with a quiet blend of discipline, prayer, and carefully chosen words. Kofi was her last child. He was bright, confident, and carried a restlessness in his bones. From the time he was a boy, he felt a deep conviction that his destiny was larger than Ensuta. Larger than the dusty streets that puffed up with every passing car. Larger than watching the same cycle of struggle play out year after year. He craved something more. When Kofi finished secondary school, his results were good, and the future seemed to stretch out before him like an open road. Mom Serwa sat him down, her voice as steady as ever. "Learn a skill first," she said, her eyes kind but firm. "Even if you continue with school, hold something tangible in your hand. A trade is a foundation no storm can wash away." Kofi nodded politely, the way a good son does, but deep inside, his mind had already dismissed her words. He had seen the other young men, the ones who left town and returned transformed. They came back with flashy phones, second-hand cars that gleamed under the Ensuta sun, and stories of overnight success. None of them ever talked about learning a trade. They spoke of connections, of being at the right place at the right time. Kofi didn't want a foundation. He wanted a rocket ship. He wanted speed. His moment, he thought, arrived in the form of Kabi, an old schoolmate. Kabi had returned from the city, Accra, draped in expensive-looking clothes, and speaking a brand of English that was slick and fast. He radiated success. He saw the hunger in Kofi's eyes and made him an offer that felt like a dream. A job in Accra. Quick money, no stress. "Forget this slow life," Kabi had said, waving a hand dismissively at the town around them. When Kofi told his mother, a shadow of concern crossed her face. She warned him, her voice low. "Kofi, be careful. Anything that comes too fast will test you in ways you are not prepared for." Kofi just laughed, a sound full of youthful arrogance. "Ma, times have changed," he said. "This is our generation's way." The day Kofi left Ensuta, the air was thick with unspoken feelings. Mom Serwa stood quietly by the roadside as the bus engine rumbled. She didn't cry or plead. She simply handed him a bag of food and the little money she could spare. Money she had probably saved 4 weeks. The final words were simple: "Remember where you come from." But Kofi was barely listening. His mind had already left Ensuta. It was racing ahead, painting vibrant pictures of Accra, of money, of a new life. At first, the city was everything he had imagined and more. It was a dizzying spectacle of tall buildings that scraped the sky, a symphony of car horns and shouting vendors, and a constant, thrilling sense of movement. The nights were alive, with lights that turned the darkness into a perpetual twilight. Kabi put him up in a crowded, noisy apartment, shared with several other young men. He introduced Kofi to his circle, men who spoke in whispers and whose eyes were always scanning the room. Kofi noticed something strange very quickly. No one ever explained what the work actually was. When he pressed for details, they would pat him on the back and tell him to be patient. "The money is coming," they'd say with a knowing smile. "Just relax." Weeks crawled by. There was no job, no salary, only a series of mysterious errands. Delivering sealed packages to unknown people, making late-night pickups from shadowy corners of the city, waiting for calls that came at odd hours. A knot of worry began to tighten in Kofi's stomach. But his pride was a stubborn gatekeeper. He couldn't admit he had made a mistake. He couldn't bear the thought of his mother's quiet, knowing gaze. So he kept silent. Then, one night, the fragile illusion shattered. The sound of heavy boots and splintering wood ripped through the apartment. Police. Panic exploded in the small room. Kofi didn't even know what he was running from, only that a primal fear screamed at him to run. He scrambled out a back window and fled into the darkness, his heart pounding against his ribs like a trapped bird. He escaped, but he had lost everything. His phone, his clothes, his so-called friends, his last bit of money. Everything was gone. That night, Kofi slept at a lorry station, curled up on a cold bench, the vibrant city lights now looking menacing and cold. He was hungry, ashamed, and utterly alone. 4 days, he wandered the sprawling streets of Accra, a ghost in a city that had promised him a kingdom. He looked for any kind of work, but his disheveled appearance and desperate eyes made people wary. Nobody trusted him. Nobody listened. The city that once seemed so full of opportunity now felt like a dangerous labyrinth designed to swallow him whole. Finally, broken and with nowhere else to turn, Kofi found a payphone and called home. When his mother picked up, he could barely speak past the lump in his throat. He waited for the anger, for the "I told you so," but it never came. Mom Serwa didn't shout. She didn't lecture. Her voice was the calmest sound he had ever heard. She simply said, "Come home, my son. Come home." The journey back to Nsuta was the longest of his life. When he returned, people noticed the change immediately. The confident swagger was gone, replaced by a slower, more deliberate walk. Espo blessed his voice softer. He avoided the gazes of his old friends, the shame a heavy cloak on his shoulders. But Mam Serwa welcomed him the same way she always did. She set a warm plate of food before him first. The questions could wait. Later that night, as the quiet of the town settled around them, Kofi finally spoke, his voice cracking. "I was a fool, Ma. I thought I knew better than you." His mother sat opposite him, her hands resting in her lap. She just nodded slowly. "Wisdom doesn't shout, Kofi," she replied gently. "It waits." Kofi stayed. He humbled himself and started over. He decided to learn a trade, just as his mother had advised. He became an apprentice to a carpenter, learning to measure, to cut, to join. It was slow. It was patient. It was proper. He learned the value of a straight line, the strength of a solid joint, the beauty of creating something with his own 2 hands. Years later, Kofi was a master of his craft, respected not for quick cash, but for his skill and integrity. When he saw the younger boys in town, their eyes full of the same restless fire he once had, talking about shortcuts and quick money in the city, he would approach them. He spoke quietly, his voice carrying the weight of experience. "Listen to your parents," he would tell them. "They may not know the city, but they know life." And in the town of Nsuta, the story of Kofi's journey became a quiet lesson, a piece of wisdom passed down. The moral's clear. Not every opportunity is progress. Not every shortcut leads you forward. In many of our homes, parental advice isn't about control, it's protection, a shield forged from love and experience. This is one of the stories they never told us. Thank you for watching. Follow and subscribe for more stories they never told us.